What's up, Yugioh? This is Richard with you again today, and I'm not going to be doing a deck profile today because I haven't gotten my hands on any of the new Dragons of Legends cards, but I do want to do a video today about how the Gravekeeper monsters will do against some of these new cards that have come out, and I want to talk about some of those new cards that have come out, and some older Gravekeeper monsters that will prove very useful in this new format. So, let's get started. I know that it might seem a little scary going into the set with cards like Soul Charge coming out, but I want to talk about cards that we already have for our archetype, the Gravekeepers, that counter these new cards naturally and easily. And I think that if you practice around with some of the tips I'm about to give you, you'll see great success for the last half of this format. So let's start talking about some of the cards that we need to watch out for with the Dragons of Legends set. And first, it's going to be Soul Charge. And if you haven't heard about Soul Charge, what Soul Charge says is target any number of monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, and if you do, lose 1,000 life points for each monster special summoned by this effect. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. You can only activate one Soul Charge per turn. Now, you might be saying to yourself as a Gravekeeper player, Necro Valley is going to stop this card. And that's perfectly true. But there's no reason that your opponent should not be able to use it and you shouldn't be able to use it. There's every reason that you should be using your deck to stop your opponent from playing this card while being able to play this card yourself. And there is a way to do that with Necro Valley on the field, and it's a Gravekeeper monster that a lot of people have forgotten about and shunned, but is actually a fantastic card. And it is the Gravekeeper's Chief. The Gravekeeper's Chief's effect says that you can only control one Gravekeeper's Chief. Cards in your graveyard are unaffected by Necro Valley. When this card is tribute summoned, you can select one Gravekeeper monster from your graveyard and special summon it. That means that if you use your normal summon to tribute summon this monster, he's going to bring back the monster you tributed or any Gravekeeper in your graveyard that you want. Second of all, he makes it to where cards in your graveyard are not affected by Necro Valley. So if you have control of the Gravekeeper's Chief while you have Necro Valley on the field, your opponent can't play Soul Charge, but you can. And that's wonderful. And, well, it's just great. And Gravekeeper's Chief, I think, will be a very valuable monster in the latter half of the format. It's searchable by the recruiter, so it's easily added to your hand. And then it special summons from the graveyard to up your swarm anyway. It's just a really good card to consider using if you are interested in using this new card, Soul Charge, in your Gravekeeper deck. Alright, the next card I want to talk about from the upcoming set is going to be Firehand. And if you haven't seen Firehand, Firehand is a level 4 Pyro monster, and when this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can target one monster they control. Destroy that target. Then you can special summon one Ice Hand from your deck. This is a pretty powerful card because it adds another monster, and we can't talk about Firehand without talking about Ice Hand also. So what Ice Hand says is when this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to your graveyard, you can target one spell or trap card they control and destroy that target. Then you can special summon one Firehand from your deck. So the Firehand brings out the Ice Hand, the Ice Hand brings out the Firehand. The Firehand destroys monsters, and the Ice Hand destroys spell or trap cards. It's a very lethal card if you're not properly protected. A lot of players don't have a lot of options for countering this card, but the Gravekeeper monsters have a counter built in the form of the Gravekeeper's Shaman. I've been main decking Shaman for the last format. Since it came out, I've been main decking the Shaman. And now it only gets better. it now can help stop these cards that everybody is going to be using. What Shaman does is, this card gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper monster in your graveyard. Negate all monster effects that activate in the graveyard, except Gravekeeper's monsters. While Necro Valley is on the field, your opponent cannot activate field spell cards, and field spell cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So she's like an Abyss Dweller, a wall, and she protects Necro Valley. It's just a great monster that will easily and naturally just counter these Ice Hand and Fire Hands. And what's great about Shaman is she can be special summoned with the Spy or be searched by the Recruiter. So there's no need to worry about this. And if, like I said, if you already have Gravekeeper's Chief on the field, your cards are going to be safe from, or you're going to be able to have the option to play with these new cards also. Don't forget cards like Kaiser Coliseum. Kaiser Coliseum says if there is one or more monster on the field of the controller of this card, his or her opponent cannot place a monster on the field if his or her number of monsters would exceed the number of monsters that are on the field of this card's controller. The cards that are already on the field before this card's activation are unaffected by this. So that's a really nice counter to anticipating Soul Charge also in the Gravekeeper deck. Alright guys, I just wanted to end this discussion video by pointing out just a couple of the other great cards that are going to be coming out that came out in Dragons of Legends. The first one is called Wiretap. And if you haven't seen Wiretap, what it does is, when a card is activated, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. It's pretty good. Next also is going to be a card called Darkfall. And what Darkfall says is, when your opponent special summons 2 or more face-up monsters at the same time, i.e. with Soul Charge, send those monsters to the graveyard, then send all monsters that have the same name from the hand and deck to the graveyard. So that's really disgustingly powerful, and be on the lookout for that card to get limited. But that's another card that you like to look out for. And there's also the older option of the Giant Trap Hole. And if you haven't seen the Giant Trap Hole, what it says is, when 2 or more monsters are special summoned at the same time, destroy all monsters on the field. So that's a good option. And that's where I'm going to end this video, guys. So I just hope that the tips and tricks that this video presented will help your Gravekeeper deck in the latter half of this new format. And if you like this video, make sure you let me know in the comments below. If you have any thoughts or suggestions or tips yourself, I'd love to see a video response. If not, just leave them again in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for weekly Gravekeeper deck profiles, which will be starting again as soon as I get my hands on the new Dragon of Legends cards. So, have a great week, YouTubers. This is Richard, signing off.